for which I might... Yeah, let's do that now. Because then we are covering our YouTube angles too. So I'll pause the music for a little bit now. Because otherwise copyright issues will make it mute. So what we are going to do is that I'm going to explain my thought process in this game, and somewhat uncharacteristically today we are going to play a modern / perk defense, which is somewhat logical to play for somebody like myself who plays the King's Indian is black anyway, because I'm used to the structures with the fianchetto, often they transpose and whatnot. So I think it makes some sense. Now, given that he has played h3, I'm tempted to play this c3 takes check business. But I'm even more tempted to do that after knight f6. So I'm expecting knight c3 and then c5 takes queen a5 is going to be the plan. So it's very important in the perk and in general when you are playing a passive or a more passive opening that doesn't combat the center in the first couple of moves. You can't play that with a passive mindset, because it's already more passive than it should be, and if you play a somewhat more passive opening with a totally passive mindset, that's too many passives in one sentence, so you fail your grammar test as well as your chess test, because yeah, it means that we will be way too late to the party when it comes to the actual fight. Now we are entering actually with some quirky transposition a Sicilian dragon, where h3 is a very lemony move and queen a5 was too to some extent. But h3 is definitely the worst of the two, because f3 is meant to happen in order to support e4 as well as to support the attack. So now he's playing it quite solidly and not too ambitiously by castling short, I'm guessing. Yep. And we are going to jump in to grab one of the bishops with knight c4. A very stock standard Sicilian motif in these positions, that we try to play knight c4 in order to either trade one or the other, because we are obsessed with bishops. In the meantime, chat is asking me what my favorite gambit is. I have a lot, really. There are a lot of modern gambits, like the anti-Moscow gambit, for example, is one that I quite enjoy. Playing and watching good players play too is very good fun. This caught me a little bit by surprise. So technically I could play some... Okay, if I were to go there, he could take me. I go check, he could take me, I take, he takes me, and he got all my 3 minor pieces for the queen. That's not a good trade at all. So I do not want that to happen. Actually, I still want to get into c4. So let's go. Bishop e6. Renewing the threat, and the queen is feeling very iffy on this diagonal now. Hopefully. Because now any knight jump is going to bruise them very badly. So they have to be very, very careful about where they go. Yeah, I don't know if f4 was the correct call, but in fact queen d4 was already feeling a little bit wonky. What he should have done here, in my opinion, is simply to play f4, knight c4, bishop takes, queen takes, and then perhaps queen d3, covering e4 and then rook e1, giving up the 2 bishops, but having a very decent, good-looking position in the center. Whereas now it looks like, yeah, he's facing difficulties big time. I've got the threat of simply eliminating the dark squared bishop, which in itself is a disaster for white. I have knight g4 pending, which is the main threat, opening up the diagonal towards the queen and hitting the bishop on e3. So he had to go in for this trade. The drama, however, for him is that he's still not out of the waters because his rook is hanging, and I still have knight g4 or knight d5 even to hurt him. Actually, knight d5, knight takes, bishop takes, knight c7, bishop e3, check. King somewhere, rook d1. So rook d8, knight d5, bishop takes, whatever takes back, bishop takes f4. And that's a pawn for me. So that was a big piece of calculation. Hello, Messi Marvin. How are you doing, my friend? Thank you for tuning into the stream. So I'm tossing up between knight g4 and knight d5. Yeah, I want to spice it up a bit. Let's go this way. Because it might tempt him to go for this, which I don't think is actually correct. So let's see how this turns out. My coffee drinking didn't turn out too well because I just finished it all. It's a very bad habit. When calculating moves, do you use a calculator? Very rarely, because it's a game called chess, not maths. Right, so now I have again a great variety of choices. I can simply take and just dominate with the two bishops, but I can also take here, take back, and play against the very bruised pawn structure. Not only that, but I can take on b3 and simply win the pawn on c3 by force. Now you know that I am one of those players and coaches too who always prefer initiative and piece play over material. So I'm still looking whether I can get more out of this other than winning this pawn down here. But it doesn't look that way. It seems to me that this is as good as it gets, and I should be content with that. So let's go take, and take c3. Sadly, it doesn't mean an exchange because I can be pinned down c. So I might even take with the queen. The more I look at it, though, the less I like it, because after takes, c takes, queen takes, bishop takes, rook c1, he's coming into c7, unless I drop back to a5. But then my bishop seems to be a little bit passive. So, instead of grabbing the material too soon, I'm going to actually go against my initial intent, and I'm going to keep on building, because the c3 pawn is not running away. It's as good as dead, and so I have got plenty of time here to build up the position and the momentum and wait for the perfect opportunity to take that pawn. For example, now e5 is very appealing to me because it's going to isolate the pawn here and removing the bishop from the defender of the c3 square. It just looks way too juicy. Nipsum, hello. Hyperlast, hello. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning into the stream. I hope we're going to have some fun. Right now I'm recording an inside my head, which is why the music is not playing. Right, so now I have got this to play against and even that to play against. And to some extent, I'm very tempted to actually play queen c6 here. Again, I could take and take, which would be better than in the previous scenario because now I'm dominating the c file, and on the third rank he has some issues. But I feel like I still don't want to cash in too early, because I don't see what he's going to do if I go here. How is he going to guard this pawn? Because if knight c5, I've got b6. Let's go. Big lesson for you guys to learn from this is that, yeah, don't take everything that is there to take immediately. Because very often you will find that you can build a position further up, and these weaknesses tend to fall on their own accord. But the way how I did it, I think I eliminated almost every counterplay possible. So as a chess, after bishop takes knight e3. Yeah, the c3 pawn would be weak too, so he was wondering why I didn't take here and here. The weak dark squares are irrelevant in that case because I don't have anything on the dark squares, plus there are very few pieces there. So it would be only the pawn on c3, which I think I'm exploiting far more effectively now. Knight a5, I can take this. And I can take it now too. It seems to me to be a bit of a blundery scenario. That being said, once again, I'm measuring up whether I should take and let them take here, which doesn't feel right, by the way. My guts are telling me that that's not good for white, but I could be a smarty pant and play b6, and thereby eliminating all the squares of the knight. I actually like it. I want to play this as sadistically as possible. So now I'm even denying bishop a7 and knight a5, and the pawn is still hanging. And if he drops back to d2, I will either drop back here, hitting the pawn again, or just simply here. And c3 is falling, and I still managed to keep all the pieces on the board, which is good for me because my pieces are far better placed than his. So this is looking juicy, but for the record, I think there was nothing wrong with takes. I was looking at continuing it with bishop d5, building up some long diagonal mate threads, but it feels like my pieces in the center would have been a touch too clumsy. So now I want to come back here, because this is hurting this one now, and the bishop is going to drop back here to hurt that one, which will allow me, after that, to remove the queen, so that the bishop is firing first, and thereby allowing me to play f5 as well. Okay, that's fair. Now my rooks are not doing much at the moment, so I'm going to bring the rooks into the fray as well, and enjoy myself as my opponent is very clearly struggling to make sensible moves. And I'm going to swing across the other rook here. The reason why rook c7 is so good, because I managed to maintain the attack on the c, so the bishop can't be removed. But at the same time, I'm covering that too, so if he were to play rook f1, this is not hanging anymore. Okay, let's go here. Knight d3 is what I'm expecting, and I will play queen a4. I'm playing a little bit fast because these moves A come to me very naturally, but B, I want to speed up a little bit. So now what's happening is that, as I said, I opened up the attack onto the E so that there are two different pieces from different angles hitting here. I'm hitting that, that, and that. So literally every single weakness on the board is just a disaster for white to cover, because yeah, these pawns are so difficult to hold. And again, I'm just placing my pieces on the best squares. I have missed, intentionally mind you, but I have missed, I would say, at least 5 opportunities already in this game to take 3 pawns. And I did that all with the intention of building, 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 building. That's it. And again, I could take this, and probably it's a good move, but I don't see what he has against f5, because now it seems to me that e4 is undefensible due to the fact that the knight is pinned to the bishop. Welcome, guys, everybody to who just tuned in now. I'm recording a inside my head whilst I'm streaming, so that is why there is no music. After this game, I'm going to put the music back on, and we'll probably do some other fun activities, such as playing chess and playing music and talking nonsense, because that's what this stream is all about. Speaking of which, make sure that you do check me out here, which is my YouTube channel. Bang. Man, this game I really do like in terms of positional chess, because yeah, I got so much out of this position, and I could be now sitting in an endgame with a pawn up where he would have his rooks on in my face on the c file. It's just so much more fun to play a game like this instead. Okay, so I don't see anything wrong with starting the harvest, although I take is legit. One has to be careful till the very end. I could take with the pawn, but I don't really want to. I'm tossing up between this and this, but something in me tells me to keep at least one rook on the back rank for safety reasons. So I will just come here. thereby allowing knight f2, which is a bit of a blunder on my end, in the sense that I didn't have to allow it. But I'm cool with that too, because even after knight f2, he can't move a muscle. Knight b4, so he goes forward and he wants to jump into d5. That was a way better option than what I was looking at. But it seems to me that he just loses this for nothing. So actually, never mind. This was very bad. I'm expecting an exchange sack to try to turn the tide around. And after takes, now he will have a bit of a counterplay on the white squares. And funnily enough, the best way for me to eliminate that counterplay is to pinch this pawn. Because all the threats that I'm facing are on this diagonal. This is where my weak squares are. f7, d5, e6. It all can be covered with an annoying check. Potentially further followed by rook here. And the best way to deal with it for me is to simply take that pawn one day after a5. I nearly did it though. That would have been epic. And then I will be covering this. But sadly, after a5, he might have the check right away. King here. Actually, there's nothing there, is there? Knight goes back, and then my queen can come back and clean up the rest. Righto. In we go. a5 it is. Know that classics is coming too. Can't take the queen. Yeah, he can. That's why I wanted to play a5 first. Now, obviously, I can't take there. But I can play queen c4, which is forcing the queens off the board, or queen d6, which I don't follow with queen c6 because I'm an annoying dude. GG! So yeah, now we are just trading the dudes off. And please note how I'm already a lot of material ahead, and I still haven't taken the weak pawns. So they are still coming to daddy. Coming to dada. So now trade is inevitable, or he has to go back, which allows me to take with the tempo. Could also play e4, knight f4, h6 there. Looking very juicy. I probably will, actually. Yep, let's go. Please note how, again, by making him decline queen trades, the activity of my pieces is growing, and he's still jumping around trying to find safe spots for his pieces, which is a scenario that has come to its end now because this bishop has been trapped. And the game is over. Thank you, Arbor Vitae, and thank you, Sandro Pedro, for praising my Inside My Head as well as the No Die Classics. I do wish that it had a little bit larger audience than what it has at the moment. But hopefully things like this stream is going to support it rather well. Yeah, so now we forked the minor dudes. This check is still on to get rid of with the queens. So this is what I normally call on this channel the G to the G scenario. GG. Yeah, it gets out of the check. So we push the pawn. Now I want to get in here. And he doesn't want me to get in there, which is fair, so I'm going to get in here. I just need to speed up a bit. I really don't want to take this. No, we'll just swing across. Rook across, rook in, pawn up. I have got all the dirties on the ready. As a matter of fact, I'm going to push that in his face just to make sure that he's tied down to it. Knight can't take because of the pin. Rook can't take because of rook takes, knight takes, and then back rank check basically ties down all his pieces to an unmaintainable, which is not even a word, but it's okay, defense. Now I just want to take and then get in, or rather get in. Okay, let's pin him a bit. Pin is good. Remember that, pins are good. Queen g3 was already tremendously strong, but I decided to be silly. We're getting there. Alright. Queen b5, Queen g3, forcing knight f3. And then bishop takes c3, hitting the rock. Ouch. I see a line where I can sack a queen to be truthful to my title. Queen h5, bishop takes, queen check, king here, knight g5. Oh, we are playing it out. Booyah, baby. And then queen h2 check. So knight g5 and queen check, bishop check, and queen promotes with mate. Haha, that's awesome. Look at that. Queen sack. Booyah, baby. Which is basically a move to clear a square for the bishop so that I can promote there. How cool was that? And checkmate. Alright, so that was inside my head. I'm not even allowed to play a rematch against this guy because he wants a rematch, but I will stop recording here now because I want to please my beautiful viewers. It was incredible because my stream is titled Sacking the Queen, and that's what we just did in the end. So yeah, thank you very much guys for tuning in into the YouTube channel, and I'll be back with more. As for you lovely folks here in the stream, we are going to play one more, but now I'm going to turn on the musica.